All right, now we're going to go on to look at some of Jane's goals. So in the area of math calculation, Jane's goal is that Jane will use a ruler to measure common classroom objects with 80% accuracy in 4 out of 5 attempts as measured by data collection over a 9-week period. Her basic reading goals consist of, when given a reading passage, Jane will answer questions, yes or no, and WH questions about the passage with 80% accuracy as measured by data collection over a 9-week period. Going over the SLP's goal, I'm just going to read it. Given structured and unstructured language tags. I got a small typo right there, so I'm going to correct that. Jane will answer WH questions to demonstrate understanding of a story or an event. And looking at the area of OT, Jane will increase her fine motor skills, copy uppercase and lowercase letters, and Jane will trace single words. And like I said, our OT and SOP will go over more about what they're doing with her goals, and talk about like how they're helping her to achieve her goals. Let's see, we're moving right along. Does anybody have any questions or concerns so far? All right, everybody's good? Okay. We're going to keep on moving along then. All right. And let's talk about we're going to go and talk about the least restrictive environment. So basically, Jane, let's see, she will be participating in classes such as like support classes, like art, PE, we have science lab, library, music. So she'll be participating in those classes with a general education class. And so that is the extent to which she will participate in a general education curriculum when she is in her support classes. And any other school events she will participate in with other students from the general education classrooms. And then extended school year will not be needed for Jane. And the reason why it won't be needed for Jane is because when we look at the extended school year checklist, it was when we check off certain things on that checklist that are not required, or that Jane does not meet in that category, such as like, does her behavior impede others? No, it doesn't, because she's a very sweet student, and her behavior is not affecting others in the classroom or her being able to learn. So we check no. And so when you get a certain amount of no's, that tell you to stop, and that means that they don't have to do the extended school year. So she's good with that. All right. And so we are going to look at, let's see. Okay, we're going to discuss the procedural safeguards. And Mom and Dad, I will also be sending you a copy of the procedural safeguards. But the procedural safeguards is basically talking about your rights as a parent, making sure that you know that at any time that if you wanted to hold a meeting for any reason, you're able to do so. You're able to waive your 10-day notice for a meeting. So if the meeting gets to where it's kind of getting to the date is kind of getting to the date where, or we haven't met yet, if it's like the meeting is, I'm sorry, let me explain it better, to where Jane's IEP is about to expire and we getting closer to that date, you're able to waive your 10-day notice so that we can still be able to have the meeting, even though we didn't schedule it in enough time. You're able to waive your 10-day notice. Let's look at some other things here. Right, so we're just looking at you have the right to access your child's records at any time. You have a right to ask for a updated IEP, your child's updated IEP, and get a copy of that as well. Let's see. You also are able to, if you have any complaints, you're able to file any complaints. You are also able to I'm going down and making sure I'm covering everything. Yes, you're also able to, if you feel like that this meeting today didn't go over everything you wanted to go over, if you want to have another meeting, or you want to have a meeting to talk about specific things that we talked about today, you're able to do that. So I will be sending you a copy so that you can look over, because it's a long document, and I will be sending you guys a copy. And if you have any questions about anything other than kind of just the basics of what I tried to cover, just please let me know. All right. And so we're going to move right along. Let's see. We are going to look at our prior written notice. Now give me 1 second to pull that up. And guys, right now while I'm pulling that up, any questions or concerns that you guys have for me or anybody else? Oh, before we do that, I'm going to give I'm so sorry guys, I'm going to give our SLP the opportunity to go over her goals, and then our OT is going to go over her goals and her present levels. And then if we have any questions and concerns after they do their part, then we will discuss that. And after those questions and concerns, we'll give our general education teacher the chance to kind of go over the general education curriculum. So give me 1 second. All right, and so this is the area where they will go over, the SLP and the OT will go over their part of the IEP, and then we've asked all our questions and concerns, and then the general education teacher will discuss the general education curriculum. So now I am going to go over the prior written notice. So back into the mock IEP. Here we go. All right, guys. So thank you guys for being so respectful and listening to everybody's parts in the, IEP process, and just, being active listeners and respecting everybody's turn and making sure we actively listen. Now we're going to go over the prior written notice before we conclude the meeting. All right. So the purpose of the meeting, we already talked about, was to go over the IEP, the IEP's goals and the present levels and things like that. So it's just an IEP review. The description of the actions proposed and refused. So we proposed that Jane would remain in the FS setting with continued language therapy and OT services. The explanation of why the school district proposes or refuses this action. Propose the action because Jane is making good progress on her IEP goals within this setting. Description of any options that the school district considered. We did consider allowing Jane to participate in the general education curriculum, but reasons why these were rejected: because Jane is making progress and academic gains in the setting that she's currently in. The description of evaluation, procedures, tests, records, reports that the school district has proposed, psychoeducational testing, teacher observations, parent input, and also related services. And there were no other factors relevant to the actions proposed at this time. All right, so give me 1 second to pull back up the IEP. All right. And so quickly, we're going to look at the services that are being provided. So we're looking at Jane receive functional skills. She would be in the functional skills room, self-contained, 5 times a week, 35 hours a day. She'll receive OT services, 8 per year, 30 minutes, and speech therapy, 4 per month, 30 minutes. All right, and also she will participate in the Tennessee Alternate Assessment this year. Our school psychologist did testing, and she made Jane eligible to be able to take the Tennessee Alternate Assessment. All right. All right, guys. So we're going to just take a brief look at some of the accommodations that that Jane will receive, and they'll just be extended time, oral tests, and extended breaks or things like that if she needs some time to just kind of take a break and ease, into the lesson or test a little bit later. All right. And overall, that concludes our IEP for Jane. So, guys, thank you so much for being here and participating. And I'm going to open the floor up for any more questions that you guys may have for me or anyone else in the IEP team.